Hey guys, and welcome to Game Jam, and today we are looking at the just released patch that is in live so that we can play. And the first thing that's up to notice, Sombra exists in the live server for you guys to play and enjoy. She's a wonderful character, short range, got stealth, can move herself around with a translocator. She's pretty awesome. We did in a heavy, extensive testing video where we tested all her interactions with different heroes, so feel free to check that out. I'll make sure to link that in the description. But she is definitely lots of fun to play, and I'm excited to see her in competitive. This thing I was showing real quick is I was testing out hacking on medkits. Somebody was asking me how fast medkits respawn, and ended up finding out that, sure enough, the smaller medkits heal up faster or respawn quicker than the bigger medkit. What I did here is I had the two hacked health packs, a small one and a large one on the right, and then a regular health pack on the left, and you can see what the times end up being. Hacking increases health pack regeneration by 4x. The power gain from Zarya's shields has been decreased by 20%, which overall felt like a move in the right direction. The same thing as happens for the projected barrier that she can put on allies. Up next is Widowmaker, and I didn't even know this, but apparently the Venom Mine could hurt yourself if you were next to it when it exploded, but now it no longer does that, which I guess is a cool change. But the biggest change of all is the Widow's Kiss. Scoping in on her sniper rifle will now go 20% faster, which makes it a lot easier to do jump shots if you want. Now, I'm not all that great at jump shots, but if you have something where the power is increased by 20%, it's going to be really helpful, and I see Widowmaker getting a lot more play in the future, especially with Sombra out and now that she can see Sombras that are hidden. Torbjorn had a lot of changes. One of the biggest changes is that scrap is now automatically generated over time. So you start out with some scrap, and before you even start a battle, you will be able to give out some armor to some of your teammates. What they also did was they reduced the amount of scrap that enemies drop by 40%. But overall, I think this is going to be a pretty dramatic change in how Torbjorn can be played. Before, in order to get armor, you kind of had to be very aggressive with the Torbjorn, which doesn't really make sense when he's playing with the turret. But now he can effectively sit back and feed armor to your allies, which means that he's not necessarily a troll pick anymore. Also, his forged hammer speed was increased by 25%, but the damage was decreased by 27%, overall leaving the damage neutral, but I think it made it easier to beef up your turret a little bit faster. Soldier 76 only had 2 changes to his attack, but they're massive. The bullet damage was increased from 17 to 20, and the maximum bullet spread was increased from 2.2 to 2.4. So in playing around the test range, he seems very, very effective at almost, I want to say, all ranges. Maybe not super long range, but even a medium long range, he's still very, very strong. What's important is that you can still reset the bullet spread after 4 bullets. So if you're careful about your trigger fire, then you can still do a lot of damage from a distance. I think he will see a lot more play, and he could potentially replace McCree picks. That used to be guaranteed you'd go McCree, and Soldier was not worth your time. Not to mention the fact that he's still got the healing, so he's got an overall, I would say, a better package than McCree for medium to medium long range. Look here again, 40 meters. If I go full auto, yeah, maybe it's not going to work so well. However, once I go to 4-round bursts, easy kill. Very, very strong. The most controversial part of the changes happened to Pharah. Now, what looks like, in theory, increases to her abilities may not have worked out in her favor. So the first thing that's good news for her is her jump jet's lift has been increased by 35%. Essentially, you can almost be in the air infinitely if you time your jumps right. It also makes it really easy to bob up and down, which makes it harder for her to be hit. But the problem has been in what happened to her rocket launcher. Her minimum explosion damage has been increased by 13%, which is a positive change, which it makes it easier to deal a little bit more damage. But the problem has been the explosion knockback has been decreased to 0%. So there is still knockback. But the problem is that part of what makes her hard to hit is that if you can disrupt a target's aim, then they will have a harder time shooting back at you. So this is where people say that her package has been nerfed instead of being helped. So I don't know, we're going to have to see how it plays out in competitive, but I would be wary to use her with a buffed soldier and with your knockback being reduced on shots that miss. Mercy is straightforward. Basically, her passive regen now regens after 1 second instead of 3 seconds, which will help out Mercy's to survive a little bit longer. Overall, a good change for her. Lucio also had a small change. His Amp It Up healing per second has been decreased by 10%. Overall, not too bad of a debuff, but it kind of makes sense considering many teams were insta-picking Lucio, so I think it's a good overall change and maybe allow for some more support diversity. Diva got some awesome upgrades. One of them is that getting her health increased by another 100, which makes her total overall health 600, and 400 of it is armor. Basically, she's even beefier than Roadhog now. Her movement and speed while firing has also been increased by 25%, which makes her a more flexible for chasing targets, at least a little bit. And finally, her ultimate cost has been decreased by 20%, which should help out with making her do a little bit more damage than she usually does. Mei had the Blizzard's ultimate cost increased by 15%. What ended up happening is that during a competitive play, you'd see Mei get a Blizzard quite often. So having this reduced a little bit makes more sense, considering her Blizzard is now fairly strong when comboed with other players. The last hero boost change, and probably the biggest impact of all, has to be Ana's Nana boost. So you see here I have Reinhardt on the screen, and the reason why I'm showing you Reinhardt is because 90% of the time, if you wanted to use Nano Boost, it was best to have a Reinhardt out in the field. You would Nano Boost the Reinhardt, and the Reinhardt would go ham, go crazy. But what's ended up happening is that the Nano Boost no longer increases movement speed. So I'm showing you Reinhardt at the same Nano Boosted speed because he gets no speed boost. So what will end up happening is that Nano Boost can go to more targets besides Reinhardt. Other targets can still be effective, and really it's going to be about the damage increase that character gets. With this change, I think it's going to be important to have a Lucio on the team to also speed boost the character, at least help them chase down targets. Otherwise, Nano Boost may be very ineffective. So that's it for the hero balance changes. Let me know what you think of the changes in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!